Ooh, welcome back to What the Football?
What the football?
What the Football?
There it is.
I'm your host, Caleb Gregler, along with,
Your co-host Teague Morosky.
and we have a little a query for couples here.
We have a little aquarium.
Little aquarium, queries for couples. Shout out Victorious if you've
Shout
ever.
out St. John Van Cleef.
Shout out Burf. Man was always eating a green pep, like it was a big one too. It wasn't like a small. It was like one of those like jumbo ones. You get at like Whole Foods.
Why did they name him Burf?
I don't know, but I love it.
Anyway,
Victorious aside, we have three receivers who are not going to their offseason workouts. I'm sure there are more, but these are the three big names in the final years of their contracts. That would be Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown, and Terry McLaurin.
Three great receivers.
Three great receivers, all not showing up to offseason workouts. They don't have an extension yet. None of them do. They're all able to get one.
In contract talks right now with their respective teams.
Yes, they are all eligible for those extensions. They are all in the final year of their rookie deals, and they're all great receivers. So that led me and Teague to thank you, Bryson, for
Thank
this
you,
idea.
Be Smooth.
Basically, what would a good contract look like for all three players? And where do we rank these players? I guess you'll see that where we rank them in our contracts that we're going to get. And we're not going to be like, yeah, we're going to do 4 years, this many dollars with this much money guaranteed, this much
And
money.
this signing bonus.
No, that's not what we're doing. We're not going to get into super specifics of
We're
the
getting
financial
a
aspect.
little bit of a range, around this much money. And we'll kind of talk about the players that would, help, like that they would fall under with that type of contract,
Exactly.
We're not specifically ranking them in they are the sixth best receiver, the eighth best receiver, the 12th. It's not any of that. It's what kind of range do they fall in? But I guess you will find out how we rank them amongst each other.
Yeah. And then we'll also give a team or some teams that might use these receivers best if they end up not signing contract extensions by the end of the year or into next league year. All right. With that being said, how do you want to do this? Do you want to just go your first best in the range?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right.
I feel I don't know how it's gonna be. Like, I don't know where you're gonna have these receivers, but I think we'll both have the same first one. At least we should. Deebo Samuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel's flirting with that top 5 receiver in the league based off last season. The thing with him is I don't even know if he's necessarily the best receiver amongst all of them. He just is the most diverse. He can do anything on the field. And that is, especially in today's game with, I feel like every sport is almost becoming positionless, like especially in basketball.
Yeah.
Football is there, you can't have a positionless because you got a quarterback, who's playing quarterback. You got a wide receiver.
You can't have someone who's Darren Sproles' height and size play left guard. That just does not
exactly
work.
The positions are a little more solidified, but amongst the skill positions, Deebo's a receiver who can play running back, much like Lamar is a quarterback who can play running back. Like he's fantastic. He really is. And because of the wide range of things he can do, I think that earns him a little bit more money, even than he might amongst his other peers of receivers, not just these two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have him first as well, and you can't just not make a first team All Pro, and then not get paid. I mean, this dude is, I would say, a borderline agreeing with you, borderline top 5 receiver, not just based off what he does in the receiving game, but just how diverse. I think that's a really good word that you used. How diverse his skill set is.
How do you game plan against him?
You can't, because he can beat you over the top. He can gash you in the middle for like a gain of 7 or more. He can catch screen passes. He does everything for that offense.
I mean, I'm looking at his stats now. He had over 1,400 receiving yards, which people are, thinking of him as a dual threat without remembering, he was, almost leading the league in receiving yards alone.
Yeah.
And then he had 6 touchdowns through the air and then added 8 on the ground, which is ridiculous.
And another almost 400 yards on the ground too. I mean,
Yeah,
1,800 total yards, 14 total touchdowns. That is an all-pro receiver right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a receiver who's going to get paid. And that's why he's honestly, you know how we're picking teams and such that could pick up. Deebo was someone who he's going to get paid by this team. They're not going to let him go.
I don't think so either. They'd be
the
really
other two, you know, they're almost in more rebuilding mode anyways, that they might give up a star. 49ers are so close to, you know, being contenders. Like, I mean, they were in the championship game last year.
Yeah.
They're not going to let their best offensive piece go. So I actually don't see him not getting signed. And I guess we'll get right into the meat and potatoes of this video. I was thinking, I mean, you look at the contracts that got signed this year, everyone's getting paid more and more every year. That's going to happen anyway.
I mean, the top 3 receivers in as far as their contract value is Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper. All of them just signed extensions with the teams like this offseason.
Exactly. And I mean, if you look at the next name on there, for all you viewers who can't see, you'll see Michael Thomas,
which is ridiculous.
Which is Michael Thomas the 4th best receiver in the league?
Not even close. He's not even a top 15 receiver in this league.
I mean, I don't even remember what he is because I haven't seen him play in so long.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Amari Cooper is not the 3rd best receiver in the league,
no.
But Amari Cooper is a great receiver who was going to get paid based off inflation. You know, everything's going up. Amari Cooper is a receiver who's going to get paid.
The salary cap goes up each and every year.
Yeah, and D Hop is a guy that's missing from that list, and so is Stephon. But when you sort by their averages, DeAndre Hopkins is the 3rd, you know, most paid receiver.
If you go AAV,
yeah. And so I think I was going by averages, and so I think the Deebo is going to fall in the range with DJ Moore, and Stephon Diggs. I don't think Deebo is better than Stephon Diggs. Granted, I think he's better than DJ Moore. But maybe a 5-year, $100 million deal is kind of where I was in the ballpark of.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, you see those other guys. I mean, we talked about Hill, Adams, Hopkins, Diggs, Moore. Keenan Allen's right under that. We already talked about Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Mike Dubb. He just got obviously his 3-year $60 million that he just signed this offseason. Yeah. I think he's a better receiver than Mike Williams. He's probably a better receiver than Keenan Allen just based off this year.
Yeah.
I'd say right under that Stephon. I mean, somewhere between
that's where I've got him.
$4 million a year. If you don't want to lock him up for 5, I would even go like 3 or 4 and just kind of see.
Because I mean, the thing is with those other guys, you know, they are also 28, 29 years
old.
True.
That's true.
You know, Deebo is 25.
Yeah.
So age is also a factor in this. You got the 5-year deal. You want even more years wouldn't be bad. You want to secure this guy for the next, you know, as ever long as he can play.
Exactly. And there's obviously pros and cons of that. I mean, pros is you have him locked up no matter what. Cons that he could get hurt or he could retire early or whatever.
Michael Thomas is a key example right here. He's getting paid a bag and hasn't played in 2 years.
Correct. He has the 4th richest contract just based off contract value in the league for receivers, and he has not played since 2019.
That's like, I don't know how much you would even follow the NBA, but a big thing was Luol Deng signed with the Lakers, and his contract they just stopped paying him this year. He hasn't played since like 2016.
Oh my gosh.
And they just stopped paying him. It's just like crazy stuff can happen. And obviously, but you can't game plan for that. You can't sign him to a shorter deal just because you're scared he might get injured. You gotta, I mean, he's not a running back. You know, running backs, you can be scared of him doing that.
Especially if you're the Panthers. I think they were already scared because they only signed DJ Moore. They only signed him to 3 years, and he's 24. But I mean, you know, there's pros and cons to both. It's just you kind of have to look at your other contracts and kind of gauge where you can spend that money. Exactly. But yeah, I think right on that border of top 5 receiver pay, that's where Deebo should land.
Cool.
All right.
Next up,
we have AJ Brown and Scary Terry. This will be interesting. I'm curious to see where you have these guys ranked.
So a lot of thought went into this. You know, I'll say all 3 of these guys are within a grasp of each other. Deebo a little bit more than the other 2.
I think so.
But Terry and AJ, I mean, they're neck and neck in this race. What I looked at was who has AJ Brown had throwing him the ball and who has Terry.
Yep.
AJ Brown has had, a top 15 QB. He's not great. Tannehill is not a great quarterback, especially this past year. But if you look at his previous 2 years, Tannehill has been more than a serviceable starting quarterback.
Absolutely.
Who has Terry McLaurin had? Taylor Heineke,
Fitzmagic,
Alex Smith,
Kyle Allen.
Like it's like, are you kind of kidding me?
Yeah.
And on that note, I do have Terry McLaurin as a higher ranked receiver than I would have AJ Brown.
Yeah. I mean, and my sort of process was the same thing here. I mean, you look at who these guys have had them delivering the ball, and it's a slew of below average quarterbacks for Terry McLaurin, and
super below.
Yeah. And then you have Ryan Tannehill, who's been an above average quarterback the last couple seasons. Yeah. Took a little bit of a dive this past season. Another thing I looked at was availability. It's probably the first time this season we're saying it, but the best ability is availability.
Guys, if shout out episode 1, we're going way back like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a heavy throwback, but we always say that. And Terry McLaurin started every game last year.
AJ Brown has yet to start every single game in a season in his career.
Terry McLaurin has only increased in his games started 14, 15, and then 17. He is an older receiver. Older in comparison to the other two. He's somehow the oldest. He's 26.
26, yeah.
Which isn't an old receiver by any means, but he was a late bloomer in college. So he came into the league a little bit older. But I mean, he's 80 yards away in his rookie year from having 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with the quarterback carousel that has been the Washington, whatever they are, Commanders football team.
Washington name redacted.
But I mean, he's been ridiculously talented his whole career. And I think he falls I would say in the Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper range, for averages, looking at that around 20 million a year. I guess it's also the DJ Moore for averages.
Yeah.
So again, maybe a 5-year, maybe a 4-year, like $80 million deal, something like that. Like almost exactly what Keenan Allen has.
Yeah. 4 years, 80.1 mil is what Keenan has.
Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe 4 years, 85 mil. I'm not exactly sure the details, but he deserves to be paid.
I agree. My issue with paying him that much is you're basically putting him in that tier with Deebo Samuel if you're paying him that much. And you wouldn't be wrong, in my opinion, to pay Terry McLaurin that much if you want to lock up a number 1 receiver for the next 4 or 5 years. Just based off of what I already said for Deebo, I like him. I do like somewhere around the high 10s as far as millions. I would have said give Christian Kirk's contract to Terry McLaurin.
Why did Christian Kirk?
That's what I would say. 4 years, 72 mil, 18 mil a year. I mean, he's slightly more productive than Deebo in his career, and he should get paid slightly less.
Here's my issue with that, though, is how can you give our Christian Kirk and Terry McLaurin in the same conversation?
No, but that's why I'm saying just give Christian Kirk's deal.
Yeah, we both agree Christian Kirk
could, and then give Christian Kirk, like, I don't know,
4 years, 50 mil.
Yeah.
And I
not even that much.
We both agree that Christian Kirk shouldn't have got that deal, obviously.
No.
But
he should be getting Alan Lazard money, okay?
I don't know why they paid him that much, honestly. He stands out in this list as
because the Jaguars are dumb. They're such a...
I mean, the Jags should have waited and just got Terry McLaurin for this contract.
Yeah.
But why I think it's important, Christian Kirk did get this contract. He did get paid 4 years, 72 million. If I'm Terry McLaurin and I get offered 4 years, 72 million, I'm going to look at that and be like,
I'm a better receiver than Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you got to pay him more, simply because of the precedent that's been set by
which is so, which is why selfishly I'm so happy we signed Mike Williams before Christian Kirk got signed.
Yeah.
Because if not, Mike Williams would have been looking at 3 years, like
he would have been overpaid.
75 mil, 80 mil.
Certainly. Yeah.
Thank God that did not happen. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind paying him that money. I really wouldn't.
My issue is paying him that 4 years, 72. You're also putting him below average wise Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Mike Dubb. I think he's better than all those guys.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Chris Godwin, personally.
I would agree with that.
And then he's right there with Amari Cooper. Like, Terry McLaurin is a very talented. Give him a good quarterback, I think he can do great things. Yep. So I can't even entertain it. Like, if I were Terry McLaurin, I'm not entertaining the idea of being paid that money, because I know I'm gonna get more elsewhere because I'm better than all these guys who've already gotten paid.
Yeah. Well, at least they gave him Carson Wentz to work with. So
if this is 2017, they would be out of here.
When is it going to end for Washington?
I don't know. Terry needs to leave. I'll tell you right now. Terry, yeah. I hope he goes elsewhere.
I hope he does too.
Then that leaves AJ Brown.
Yeah. Again, very great close receiver to Terry McLaurin, I think.
It's going to sound like we're disrespecting AJ Brown. AJ Brown's right there with Terry McLaurin. I honestly give him the same contract. That's totally fine with me.
I would agree if he had played a full season before in his career.
Yeah, actually, you
do have to factor that in. And I think he's a worse receiver than Mike Evans, but I'd like to give him somewhere along Mike Evans' money. 5 years, 82. That's about 16. It is 16 and a half a mil.
I think I would only go maybe 2 or 3 years. Just if he keeps missing time and he becomes an injury-prone receiver, I don't want that baggage for 5 years,
So give him like 3 years, 49.5 mil.
3 years, 50 mil, call it even, something like that. And just be like, hey, prove it to us, and then you'll get paid more, because it's not like they're stuck with that. If after next season he plays all 17 games, goes for 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns, he's like, all right, now I want more of a bag. Then if you're the Titans, you give it to him because he's earned it. Right now, he hasn't necessarily earned it just because, again, like you said, of the time he's missed, only having 869 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. Granted, it was Tannehill's worst year.
Yeah.
But Terry McLaurin got 1,000 yards with Taylor Heineke.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be in the conversation with these guys and get paid the same amount, you got to start proving it year after year. And that can start next season after this little extension to lead to a bigger one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do like that. I like that idea of giving him a lesser amount of years in his contract.
Yeah. Like the other two haven't proven to be injury prone, so you can give them those big 5-6 year deals. AJ Brown, on the other hand, doesn't exactly line up with that.
Yeah. I'm looking at just Deebo Samuel's contract right now. I mean, obviously he's still on his rookie contract, so he's going to be getting paid less to nothing. But Gunnar Olszewski is getting paid more than Deebo Samuel this year for being a return man.
Okay, but don't disrespect Gunman.
I will. He returned a punt return on the Chargers Herbie's rookie year, where we lost 45-0. Where I said, Anthony, I've never been so embarrassed to be a Chargers fan in my entire life.
I'm still so mad we never recorded our What the Football episode after that.
It was probably I would have exploded. I don't know if YouTube would have kept that video up. All right. Well, anyway, I guess teams that might use these receivers.
Close it off. Let's talk some teams. So I'll tell, like I said, Deebo Samuel, I think he's going to get paid. I didn't really entertain the idea of him going to another team, but then again, any of these teams that we talk about, he could go to.
Yeah. I like the Chiefs.
That's honestly what I said. The Chiefs for Terry McLaurin.
I like him for Scary Terry. They already have a bigger guy in Chase Claypool, or not Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster. Sorry, bad Steelers receivers get mixed up in my head a lot. but they could use a sort of a smaller, just kind of burner, like the guy that they just traded. And they could obviously not as good of a version as him, but they could still try and get someone like a.
But also, like, Terry McLaurin plays bigger than 6 foot.
He does.
He plays dude. Okay, did you see his catch last year?
Against us?
Talking about where he is falling back. Yeah, I think it was against the Chargers.
It was week 1, and I swear Knox was going to pick it off, and it looked like it. And I was like celebrating, and then I just see Scary Terry just holding the ball like this. I'm like, how did that happen?
I mean, ridiculous. But that was my number one team for Terry McLaurin was the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, you can pay him less than you would have had to pay Tyreek, and you get a younger player who can grow with Mahomes. They're probably about the same. Mahomes, I think, is a year older. But they can grow together, and then he has a true number 1 receiver again. And then that receiving room goes from not very great to very, very good if you have Terry McLaurin, Juju, Valdez-Scantling, and McCole Hardman.
If you're letting Juju not play the 1, that is in the best interest of your team.
Yeah, but then him as a 2, or honestly a 3 with Travis Kelce thrown in there, that team becomes, again, I think the best team in the West. Just like that team jumps, I think, with Terry McLaurin. But then, I mean, you keep looking, you got teams like the Colts with A.J. Brown could be a really interesting fit.
I like that.
Because
alongside Michael Pittman.
Exactly. Him and Michael Pittman could be a deadly duo. And then you got Matt Ryan, who isn't afraid to air it out.
No.
The Jets were also a team that some people have been talking about for A.J. Brown.
Sure.
I don't hate that. I don't.
Give Zach Wilson a true number 1.
Yeah, Corey Davis was an okay player last year, but didn't shine as brightly as I think some people wanted him to.
No, he kind of had he had the best season of his career, but it wasn't like he played super spectacular.
It wasn't crazy. Yeah.
No.
And then if you keep looking, the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots, since
they're paying Nelson Aguilar like $40 bajillion.
Since Brady left, because Brady did it with, they gave him pretty much little to no help usually, but he was okay because he had Gronk. Once Brady left, they've needed a receiver every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, the number 1 has been Jacoby Myers? No disrespect to my boy Jacoby.
Hashtag Pack Bro.
He scored his first touchdown this year.
In his second year of his career.
I mean, come on, you got to give. Granted, I don't love Mac Jones as a quarterback. Viewers of the pod will know this.
Yeah.
But you got to give him a little bit more to work with. Or he's going to stay I think he's already hit his ceiling. But he's going to stay there.
Dude, the AFC East quarterbacks, besides Josh Allen, I guess you can throw Zach Wilson in there too, but I mean,
Zach Wilson is just like a small version of a rookie Josh Allen, struggling, erratic, like squirrely, almost like running around the place, throwing off the back foot, really exciting. Then it's Tua, who's just a left-handed, a little bit better Mac Jones, and then Mac Jones is also there.
Viewers of the pod will know my views about Tua. But
your views of Tua have changed, as we've heard on the pod, from first year to second year.
Yeah.
Because you used to be a little bit higher on Tua than you are now.
Well, I did, because, I mean, if you get drafted as the second best receiver or quarterback, and he was at Alabama, I liked his story because he was coming off that hip injury that he suffered in Alabama, and I was rooting for him. And then Dolphins fans did what they did.
And he said the NFL was easy.
And yes, exactly.
I think that's what changed.
Okay. Well, spend the entire second year or first year of your career getting benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick in the second half, and then oh my gosh, he's not good. But I saw this Twitter thread it was like Justin Herbert, the fourth quarter GOAT, and it was a Dolphins fan who posted it, and they posted like 10 clips of like Justin Herbert either like missing a throw or throwing a pick in the fourth quarter. And in like 6 out of the 10, at least, was either, I promise you, I think all 10 were Jared Cook doing nothing last year. One of them was Austin Eckler when it was right here and just
that was
right through his
bad.
hands because Austin Eckler sold me for one day in his life, but it's okay. I'll forgive him. But I mean, yeah, it's just obviously Justin Herbert. Me saying that Justin Herbert makes mistakes like every quarterback does. No, he doesn't. Sorry.
Well, he doesn't, and neither does Sam Darnold. I don't know if you got.
Let me check how Sam Darnold's doing in this game.
I don't think.
For those of you, we can end the pod here.
I don't think Sam Darnold has ever not made a mistake on a play.
Okay. I'm obviously WhatTheFootball. We are football fans. I'm playing a Madden 22 sim franchise right now where I don't play any of the games and I just build the team and all that. And we made it to the Super Bowl because I had the greatest free agency of all time. And we're in the Super Bowl right now against the Panthers. It's 17-9 right now.
Why do we have 9?
Don't know. But yeah, Sam Darnold brought the Panthers to a Super Bowl, and y'all only went 9-8.
That will not happen in real life, nor will it happen ever in his career. I was going to mention one last team.
Yeah.
Because the Falcons need a receiver, but they're just not exciting enough to get any of these guys. Their quarterback play is too bad. Marcus Mariota, shout out. I was thinking the Bears could be a really interesting team for Terry McLaurin.
I don't mind that.
Or AJ Brown, I guess, honestly. But just
you lose Allen Robinson.
Yeah, who was nothing. But Mooney would be a great number 2 option to one of those guys. And then Justin Fields, he's getting better every day. He's he was a rookie quarterback last year.
Yeah.
Give him a star receiver to play with.
I feel so bad for Allen Robinson because Allen Robinson is a star receiver.
Yeah, I want to.
He was like something like just stupid low in targets for no reason. And because I do want to look at his stats real quick.
That's what I'm checking right now because I don't remember how bad he was, but I remember he was bad.
Atrocious this year.
He had 400 yards.
Yeah.
And 1 touchdown.
But you go to last season, he had 1,250 on 102 receptions. The year before that, 98 receptions and 1,100 yards.
Because he's getting targeted 100 times more.
As you should, and then with the Jags when he had 80 receptions for 1,400 yards and 14
forgot he was
touchdowns.
On the Jaguars.
With Blake Bortles thrown to him.
Okay, Blake Bortles, low key.
He did kind of pop off in 2017 though. 1 reception, 17 yards.
I don't know. I think dude, the offensive line was so bad for the Bears that it was hard for anyone to have any time to look downfield.
Yeah.
I think Allen Robinson is going to be crazy with the Rams. Why do they have him?
Here's the thing. Here's my thing. I'm due. We're what 3/4. This is our 4th episode of the season. I'm due for a hot take that will probably fail.
This is going to be clipped. Everybody get ready.
Gladly. And I'm more than okay with being wrong, as I've been wrong.
As you typically are.
Which I don't mind. But Allen Robinson this year, alongside Cooper Kupp.
And OBJ.
Allen Robinson, give me at the very, very least 80 catches, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns.
The only realistic one was 6 touchdowns.
He might get that in the first game. The Panthers score. DJ.
I can't process. What do you think OBJ is going to? How many yards do you think Stafford's going to have?
Stafford might have the first and only ever 9,000 yards passing yard season in history.
You got Cooper Kupp's going to be guaranteed for 1,500 minimum. OBJ is the number 2, I assume, in that offense now. So I'm thinking he's going to get close to 1,000, 1,100. You think they're going to have 3,000 yard receivers, or do you think OBJ is not going to do anything?
I don't think OBJ is not going to do anything. OBJ, we saw what he did with the Rams. And
do you think Robert's going to be better than OBJ, or Allen is going to be better than OBJ?
I do. Just this season, just based off, if
you compare their stats side by side for this upcoming season, it will be Allen Robinson over OBJ.
Yes, that is my bold prediction, hot take for this episode.
I like it. Okay. I mean, I don't like it as in I would ever say that out loud or think it in my own head,
Sure.
but I like that it's a hot take that you have.
I just like I like what Stafford did with OBJ this season, coming off of a just terrible time at the Browns. I think he's going to try to share the love to Allen Robinson some and get him involved a lot more. And Sean
And I do
McVay's
too, but I think that'll
high-flying
be
offense.
sitting somewhere around 800 yards.
He is guaranteed to have at least a catch.
Oh. I mean, if it's a repeat of 2017, that's right on the
for
money.
17 yards and no touchdowns. Guaranteed. Watch him tear his ACL like in the preseason. I'm not wishing that. I'm just saying because I said that out loud, that's going to happen now.
Yeah, you wish death upon him. This is like when you drafted Travis Etienne as your RB2.
Oh, and then what happened that year in fantasy? I can't remember. Yeah, I also drafted Deebo Samuel and won the league.
Greatest draft pick in history.
Thanks. Oh, wow.
All right.
Anyway,
well, this is a longer,
probably dragged on for about
episode.
10 minutes longer than it needed to, but it's what the football tradition at this point.
You got a hot take in there, you guys.
I had to. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And we're trying to get a little something going for the draft. Check back with us in the next couple of days for a mock draft.
Just a short little top 10.
It'll just be a little top 10. And then once we get closer to the draft, sometime next week, I'm guessing Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have a full first round, just like we did last year. Or we only did 16 last year, but we're going to 17 because that's what the Chargers pick.
Fair.
Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to What the Football.
I love you guys.
You haven't done that at all this season, have you?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, you have?
I've done it on the low. I haven't like called attention to it, but the true fans have heard.
Okay, perfect. Well, I guess with that, this has been What the Football.
What the Football.
What the Football.
There it is.